We are talking very much still about immigration and specifically, I suppose, about who you do business with and who you pay when you are talking, as Reform UK are, about sending migrants back to countries like Afghanistan or perhaps Sudan or Iran. Reform UK have been questioned about this, and it does appear that there may be some softening of the stance when it comes to women and children. We know that the majority of small boats arrivals are men. It's over 70%, but within those arrivals there are some very vulnerable women and children, women and girls. And really, how comfortable are we? If we sit back and think about it, how comfortable are we with sending women and girls back into the arms of the Taliban, for example, the very people that they are running from with very good reason? You will know what kind of lives women and girls have in Afghanistan under the Taliban. Women can't work. Their voices are not allowed to be heard in public. Girls are not allowed to go to school after 12 years, after they're 12 years old. And not only did the idea seem to be that those women and girls would be sent back to the Taliban, that Reform UK might actually, if they were the government, pay the Taliban for the pleasure of returning these people to them. Now, there does seem to be a bit of rowing back on that, and we'll try to bring you up to date on that. But how comfortable would you be with the principle of sending vulnerable people, women and girls I'm talking about here, back into somewhere like Afghanistan, where the government, which is not recognised legitimately by the UK government, but where the Taliban actively mistreats women? That seems to be like a step too far, but I'd love to know what you think about this. 0345 60 60 973. Now, speaking to Nick Ferrari at breakfast today, Richard Tice from Reform UK was asked about Nigel Farage's speech yesterday, stating that they would pay money to countries like Sudan and Afghanistan.
How comfortable would you be with the British government giving money to countries such as Iran, Sudan, or to the terrorists of the Taliban?
Sometimes in life you have to do business with people that you may not like. If we want a ceasefire in Gaza, you've got to do a deal with Hamas. If you want a ceasefire in Ukraine, you've got to do a deal with Putin. These are not nice people. But leadership is about taking difficult decisions, and I repeat the point. The role of the British government is to protect our sovereignty, our borders, and to ensure the safety of our women and girls. And that's why people are so angry about this. And that's why we're leading in the polls.
You're happy to send women back to Sudan, where rape is used as a tactic of war. You'd be comfortable with that?
And regrettably, some of these illegal migrants who have come to this country have raped British women and British girls. And the role of a British government is to defend the British people. Sometimes you have to do business with people you may not like. We cannot control despotic regimes around the world. What we can do is protect our own people. And that's what a Nigel Farage-led government promises to do.
Now, earlier today at a Reform UK press conference in Livingston, LBC Scotland reporter Rebecca Brady put Richard Tice's comments to Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Farage. You say deportation would help keep women and girls safe in the UK. Yet this morning, despite you just saying that your comments weren't about women in the next 5 years, Richard Tice told LBC, and he suggested female asylum seekers should be deported to countries where their safety can't be guaranteed, countries like Sudan, where rape can be used as a war tactic. Are you saying that his comments were wrong?
It won't be happening in the first 5 years of a reform government.
But was he wrong?
That's just not our priority.
Does women's safety only apply to women in the UK for you?
Our primary target is to worry about women and girls on the streets of this country, less than what the countries are like that we're going to deport these men to. It's all about priorities, and it's all about, frankly, given the mess that we've had with this over the last few years, it's all about whose side are you on? Are you on the side of British people and their safety? Firstly, on the streets, but secondly, at a national security level, which I'm very concerned about? Or are you on the side of a series of completely outdated treaties and courts of dubious distinction.
So that's not completely clear, not to me anyway, because both Richard Tice and Nigel Farage make a very popular point that our priority is the safety of women and girls in the United Kingdom. But then when asked whether Richard Tice was wrong in what he said, that, regrettably, we can't control despotic regimes around the country, and regrettably, yes, some of these women might have to be sent back to Sudan or to Afghanistan. He said, well, yes, that might have to happen. Nigel Farage says, well, that won't be happening in the first 5 years of a reform government. So I'm a bit confused. Maybe we will be able to shed a bit more light on that, or maybe this is very much an incipient policy. I mean, it's not even a policy, an incipient plan from Reform UK. But the principle itself is interesting and troubling, isn't it, really? Do there have to be exceptions to a rule that you don't deport women and girls specifically to countries where we know they are going to be in danger? Or do you think it should just be a blanket policy, that it doesn't matter whether they are women and girls? They should be treated in the same way as male migrants. 0345 6060 973. Or you can send me a text on 84850. Let's speak to Nelufar Hedayat, a journalist who came to the UK as a child refugee from Afghanistan. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Now, your family are still in Afghanistan. Can you, for people who perhaps have forgotten or who don't care, what is life like currently for women and girls under the Taliban in Afghanistan?
It can only be described as destitute, a deplorable state of being. Women are not only are they not equal right human beings under Taliban rule, but they are subhuman in the way that they are treated. As you mentioned, women cannot speak out loud. So what I'm doing right now is illegal in Afghanistan. There's all sorts of weird and frankly inhuman things that are going on, including women being told that they should only be able to see through one eye, because why would you need two eyes if you're only staring at the pavement? Women haven't been able to work. My family members in Afghanistan lost their jobs the moment the Taliban came into power. And let's not forget that the general policy by the Western world has been to freeze all assets and aid going into Afghanistan. So what is this country that we are sending these women and men back to? Well, it's a country where they can't make money, where there is no health or social care service. We're talking about a group of men, the Taliban, who have created almost inhospitable conditions for Afghan women, not to mention gynecological care or schooling. This is probably one of the worst places to be a woman on earth. It's why I left in 1994, because of the first group of the Taliban. So it's devastating to hear this.
How old were you in 1994?
I was 7. So I was old enough to know that something was wrong where I'm from. It's only now, as a journalist and as a documentary filmmaker, that I've been able to report on the conditions in Afghanistan. And it breaks my heart to see, essentially, we're telling the general public that people who we described as terrorists from 2002 up until today, people who we do not trade with, who we do not send aid with, are the people that we are willing to deport the most vulnerable people, refugees, in the world. And just some of the rhetoric coming out of the Tory party and Mr. Farage's party seems to be akin to saying, well, actually, now we're okay with working with terrorists, so long as we can give them the dirty one, so long as we can give them the stuff that we don't want to deal with.
Do you, as a journalist, you will understand the debate that has gone on over the last 5 years or so, perhaps longer. There seems to be, in some quarters, a lack of empathy, patience, whatever it is, with perceived levels of male migrants coming over, economic male migrants. And that seems to bother people. I don't know, and we're going to find out how the listeners feel about women and girls, the kind of women and girls fleeing the kind of circumstances that you have outlined. What about the idea of exempting women and girls who have fled from countries like Sudan or Afghanistan, exempting them from, mass deportations if that should come to pass?
It's definitely something that should be taken into consideration. Look, what's going on in Sudan, north and south right now, is extremely problematic. We're talking about rape being used as a weapon of war. We're talking about a civil war that has cost many, many people their lives. To answer the first part of your question about working age males, or, the term du jour seems to be this idea of, fighting age men. It's the language, the discourse. I mean, I'm a refugee from Afghanistan, and my parents came here. My mum came here because she knew that there was no life for me in Afghanistan, and she made the exact right call. I want to know, what's wrong with me? Why am I bad for this country? What have I done to deserve being sent back to the hands of the people that want to cut out one of my eyes and force me to wear a burqa? I think this is a real moment of realization for Britain. If we remove the idea of the Taliban, who are we as a nation? What are we willing to do in order to get our borders under control? Those are some of the bigger questions that I think the Tory party, and certainly we've heard nothing from Labour as yet. That's what I would want to hear. I would want to know, where is the line for us? And at what point does Britain become the thing that she is fighting, right?